Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the February 20th Arts and Culture Commission. Roll call, please.
Commissioners Oshagan,
Yes.
VR,
Here.
Vidor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Tufenkian,
Yes.
Chairperson Zadorian.
Yes.
The agenda for the February 20th meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on February 14th, 2020. Item 2, consent items at 2A, approval of special meeting minutes from December 10th, 2019.
Okay. Any changes, comments? No? Okay. Are we ready to go ahead and pass the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay. Approved by Commissioner Oshagan and seconded by Commissioner Vidor.
Commissioner,
Next item.
we need a roll call. Whoop. Roll call.
Is there a
to approve.
consensus on that, or do you need a formal vote?
Let's do a formal vote.
Okay.
Commissioners Oshagan,
Yes.
VR,
Yes.
Vidor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Tufenkian,
Yes.
Chairperson Sidorian.
Yes. Next item, please.
At 2B, approval of special meeting minutes from January 9th, 2020.
Does anybody have any changes or comments? No. Can we get a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call?
Commissioners Oshagan,
Yes.
VR,
Yes.
Vidor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Tufenkian,
Yes.
Chairperson Zadorian.
Yes. Next item?
At 2C, approval of special meeting minutes from January 16th, 2020.
Any comments? Concerns?
Today.
Yeah, it's a clean sweep today, so any motion?
I move to approve.
Yes.
Second.
Commissioners Oshagan,
Yes.
VR,
Yes.
Vidor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Tufenkian,
Yes.
Chairperson Zadorian.
Yes.
Item 3, introductions and presentations at 3A, Library Arts and Culture events presented by Jennifer Fukutomi Jones, Arts Administrator.
Good afternoon, Chair Zadorian and Commissioners of the Arts and Culture Commissioners. I'm here to present on the Library Arts and Culture events that are coming up very soon. So first up, we have at Adams Square Mini Park Gas Station, in conjunction with Arts Education Month in California, from February 20th to March 13th, 2020, the Arts and Culture Commission, through funding from the Urban Art Program, will be sponsoring a temporary art installation by artist Diane Williams entitled We Can, which is a collaboration between students of the Los Feliz Charter School for the Arts. The opening and reception, sponsored by the Adams Hill Neighborhood Association, will take place this Sunday, February 23rd, from 3 to 5 p.m., and will have community engagement activity led by Library Connections at Adams Square staff focused on pin making. So please make sure to come out and join us for that event. Next up, we have Beyond Embodiment at the Brand Library and Arts Center. So now on exhibit through March 20th is Beyond Embodiment, curated by Laura Darlington and Selwa Swaden, which features 25 pioneering female, non-binary, and trans artists exhibiting work in a dizzying array of media, including sculpture, video, animation, ceramics, textile, printmaking, photography, installation, performance, and virtual and augmented reality. Beyond Embodiment was highlighted as one of the must-see, fun, and insightful spring exhibits by Hyperallergic, so please come out and join us for that exhibit that's on right now. Also in conjunction with Beyond Embodiment is an event we're having called Interactive Experiences. So on March 14th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., participate in an interactive collision of art, biology, poetry, creative writing, and virtual reality with artists from the group exhibition Beyond Embodiment. Workshops include human and bacteria cell quilting workshop with Mario Garcia, letter writing event with Cindy Ram and Sarah Fowler, and a VR experience with Huntress Janos. All workshops are free and open to the public, so that sounds like a fun afternoon. Next up, we have the Brand Library Music Series. So on Saturday, February 22nd from 2 to 4 p.m., join us for a concert by violinist Yu Yun Kim and pianist Sun Chang, who are busy and exciting international artists, also well known at the Southern California Chamber Music audiences. So that'll be a great event to come to. And on Saturday, March 21st from 2 to 4 p.m., join us for a concert by renowned flutist Paul Freed, who has had a very impressive career playing with the Boston Symphony, Boston Pops, Berlin Philharmonic, and many others. For this performance, he'll be joined by his son, violinist Alex Freed, and other well-known musicians. They will perform music of Debussy, Telemann, Mozart, and Gabriela Frank. And admission is free. The music series is generously sponsored by the brand Associates. And here we have at Reflect Space at the Central Library, Access, a Century After Women's Right to Vote, now an exhibit through March 15th, which coincides with the centennial milestone when women gained access to political process with the right to vote in the United States. The exhibit features artists such as Kim Abeles, April Bay, Joey Forsythe, Erica Rothenberg, and Los Votos Project. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I'd love to. The political dimension of this exhibition is that even though women had the right to vote in 1920, a lot of women still didn't have the right to vote. So the whole exhibition reflects on that history. Especially women of color were not able to vote. So we were very fortunate to have a couple of artists directly dealing with that issue, speaking about through archival work, the history of that, and where women have come today, using interesting materials, especially like April Bay, who is also a GCC instructor at GCC, and whose work is based on African kind of materials, and a number of other very good artists. So I urge everybody to come down and see it. You will be moved.
Thank you. And then finally up, we have Dr. Seuss Day. Dr. Seuss celebration on March 2nd, 2020 and March 4th, 2020. It's join us for a celebration of Dr. Seuss. Come and indulge in cupcake decorating and Dr. Seuss stories, and all these events are free and open to the public. And that's for the library report.
Thank you. Okay, next item, please.
Item 4, oral communications.
Okay.
Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Members of the Arts and Culture Commission may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. The matter may be referred to staff through the commission chair for investigation and report.
I just had a question. So one of the speakers is from Brand Library, and I know it's part of an action item, but we are still going to have them speak, correct?
One of the public comment speakers?
Yes. Oh, sorry, it's for the agenda item.
Yes.
They marked it as agenda item. Okay, so that's fine. So for the oral communications, I would like to invite Aaron Shaver up. The subject will be Climate Jam for Indicate in April.
Good afternoon. So my name is Erin Shaver, and I'm here from Indicate. I'm going to read, if that's okay. It'll help me organize my thoughts. Indicate is the International Festival of Independent Games. We support independent game development and organize a series of international events showcasing the future of independent games. We're sort of like the Sundance of the games industry. We encourage, publicize, and cultivate diversity, innovation, and artistry in all forms of interactive media, helping to create a public perception of games as rich, artistic, and culturally significant. Indicate's events and related production and publication programs are designed to bring visibility to and facilitate the production of new works within the emerging independent game movement. We have held festivals and conferences throughout the Los Angeles metropolitan area, New York at the Museum of the Moving Image in Astoria, Paris, Seattle, Austin, and other locations. Our flagship festival is currently planned for October in Santa Monica, and we'll also have a significant presence at E3 this coming June at the Los Angeles Convention Center. Currently, we are looking for a location headquarters for our 2020 Climate Jam. To give you a little bit more of an understanding about a Climate Jam, it's basically, it's about 4 days where game developers will both at a headquarters, a physical location, and also virtually, so all over. We'll probably have people participating in other countries. They create games based on a pitch. So in this case, it's going to be the climate, saving our planet, will be the focus of the Climate Jam. We'll have some sponsors, and we'll have game developers from across the world creating games about this topic. We'll probably have 3 to 4 sort of specific topics within the Save the Planet general theme. We're looking for a headquarters for the Climate Jam. I live in Adams Hill, Glendale. I love what Indicate does, and I would love to bring a portion of our organization here to Glendale. So we're looking for a headquarters for this event in April. It would be 2 days, April 18th and 19th. And then the actual winners of the jammers, the game developers, would go on to work on their games until the 22nd, and then on Earth Day, we would announce the winners. So we're looking not only for a location for the event, but also, if possible, funding for the event. We would like to bring some portion of what we do to Glendale, or rather I would, because I live here and I love this city. We have showcased at the Japanese American National Museum. We have worked with Santa Monica College. We work with their Center for Media Design, which is where our festival currently is. We've worked with the City of Santa Monica. We've worked with with Culver City, and so we have a lot of experience working with local community members, and I would love to bring that here. So that's my presentation. I know it was a lot that I sort of rambled off.
No, it was perfect.
Great, fantastic.
Yeah, are we allowed to have back and forth questions?
Ask questions, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
What,
Go ahead.
what's the square footage? How big a space are you looking for?
We don't want anything too large. The headquarters will be for a small selection of local game developers, probably sort of senior game developers. Something, honestly, about the size of this room would work. We need something that has very good internet, is really the important thing. Something comfortable where there's seating. If possible, a place where people can drink water, eat snacks. You know, they work really hard and they work long hours. Obviously, they would go out for lunch, probably come back unless we can get a lunch sponsored. And if the facilities allowed them to eat lunch there, we would do that. But we don't need a very large space. We will also probably be streaming out of the space, which is another reason to have strong internet.
Library has really
Yeah,
strong
seems
internet.
like
I
the libraries are the most obvious.
But I'm a little confused. So you said the event is happening in October in Santa Monica, and what is the headquarters? I'm not
multiple-
understanding the event in the headquarters.
We
If you
have
could
multiple
clarify.
events. So
Oh, okay.
we're similar. We always explain it as Sundance just because I don't know, people are so familiar with Sundance. But basically what we are is we're the industry's independent games festival. So kind of like how Sundance has people submit from all over the world for their festival to showcase films, we do the same thing for games. So we get games from Taiwan, we get games from the Middle East, we get games from everywhere. Those games are showcased at our flagship festival, which currently is being held in October in Santa Monica, although we are also considering a new permanent home for that because we may be outgrowing the campus where we are.
Where are you in Santa Monica?
We are at Santa Monica College's Center for Media and Design at 1660 Stewart Street. This will be our third year there. In addition to our flagship festival, we do numerous other events. So we have the past 4 years had Indiecade Europe in Paris during Game City, which is a big event in Paris. We work with the government there as well as their sort of local Arts Commission to produce that event. But we have a European contingent that's really in charge of producing that. We also have a booth at, we're sponsored by the ESA. We have a booth at E3, which is the Electronics Entertainment Expo at the Los Angeles Convention Center. It's a huge entertainments expo.
When is that?
It's in June.
That's in June.
It's in mid-June.
It's coming up.
Yeah, it's coming up. This is a new initiative for us. We've run many game jams before. They've mostly been private. So we've run a game jam. We've run game jams for Sony. We've run game jams for Google. We helped, we're one of the first companies they reached out to when they were launching their augmented reality software. So 2 years ago, we did a private game jam with them where we brought developers from around, not internationally, but just from around the US to Brandeis University and did it was kind of like they stayed in dorms. It was sort of like a 48-hour, they get together, they created games, and Google went on to actually basically start 3 mini studios from that event to work on those games. So we're very familiar with running game jams. This event is going to be open to everyone. We will be seeking sponsorship for it. We already have Riot and Niantic interested in it, but we're going to be opening it to basically anyone who wants to participate. So the point of having a headquarters is to have streaming, to have a place where the organizers can get together while it's happening, where we can live broadcast what's happening. We can have our social media person here, and also hopefully we can have some game developers here sort of live creating the games, because that's an interesting thing for the creators to see happening online.
Sounds like it's more like office headquartered, not necessarily you're going to have the public coming into there. So it's
No,
just,
I don't think there will be any public coming into it. Mm-mm. No, only invited people.
My kids probably know this, but what is a game jam exactly? I mean, it's not a movie screening,
have you ever heard
right?
of 24-hour theater? Or
Yeah.
so like 24-hour theater, you get a bunch of actors. They have 24 hours. They usually spend the night there, and they write a play. And at the end of 24 hours, they have a play, and they perform the play, or they submit the play to win. It's kind of like that, except for these developers get, sometimes they're only 24 hours, but usually they're more than that, to create a game with a certain, and there's all different kinds of game jams. So like a sponsored game jam would be like, we've run them for Oculus with their new VR headsets, right? So they want high-end, like really experienced developers who can create a game in a certain number of weeks or certain number of days for that software, hardware. The software, the hardware will be completely open. For this game jam, it's really about the purpose, which is, global warming and the climate. And it's really a matter of bringing the community of developers together for that. That's the purpose of it.
It seems like in addition to the libraries, perhaps GCC or one of the studios that has its home base here might be interested in hosting you.
Yeah, that would be great.
And then also the Economic Development Department here, if you've talked to them, there are always these vacant spaces popping up here and there, and some of them can be quite large. Or, so you might want to talk to, would it be Jennifer Hiramoto in Economic Development?
Yeah, that would be great. And Indicate is sort of a neat crossover between arts and technology. We're very open in terms of what a game is, so we get all different kinds of games. It's not just video games, mobile games. We have tabletop games. We have big physical games that people submit. We have things like escape rooms. For this particular event, my guess is they're mostly going to be digital, just because of the nature of the event.
And how does the climate jam, I know you're talking about developing games here, but how does that translate into greater, it's just working the issue of our climate crisis into gaming?
It's working the issue of our climate crisis into gaming. The winners of the jam will be at E3, which is a big deal just because there's so much media at E3. It's a huge media event. So the winners of our game jam, because we usually get a fairly large footprint at E3, and we'll be showcasing the winners of the climate jam there. And also say if the city of Glendale also wanted to act as a sponsor, then they would also, their logo and signage would also be at E3 in connection with.
Are you doing like a sponsorship deck where you're going to ask, formally ask, city elements like us and others and corporations for money?
We do have a sponsorship deck.
Right.
We are not asking other cities right now.
No,
because
I was thinking of us.
But no, we're asking like gaming companies. Like we've gone to Riot, we've gone to Niantic, we're going to Lenovo to try to get support for that, and also to try to get. We have different kinds of sponsorships, smaller and larger sponsorships for different kinds of companies that might want to get involved in the jam. Yeah,
and Glendale, in the last couple of years, especially with the Grayson issue and the Glendale Environmental Coalition becoming very visible, there are probably a lot of people that would be interested and willing to spread the word and help you get funding and sponsorship. Have you talked to anybody at the GEC?
I haven't, no.
Oh, okay.
I would be happy for any of those contacts.
Oh, okay.
Reach out to
I'll
anyone.
connect
This is sort
you.
of my first foray into.
That's great. Yeah, I
into the
remember
city.
your art exhibit in Caffeine. We've met. But
because I'm also a printmaker.
But yeah, that would be great to connect with them, I think, too, just for word of mouthing.
Great.
If nothing else.
Great.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I
Thank
agree with everything everybody has said. I think library, GCC, and economic development would probably be your best options, as well as if you did want sponsorship to come back and request that.
Okay, to come back and request it. And how do I follow up? I just follow
You
up
can follow up with Jennifer Fukutomi Jones. She's our
Perfect.
arts administrator.
Okay, thank you very
so
much.
much.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, our next oral communication is Ricardo Cerezo, adding technology to public art. I'm so sorry if I butchered that. Welcome.
Good afternoon. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to live in Glendale, too. I appreciate your time, so I'm going to try to be brief. My name is Ricardo Cerezo. Sometimes I use the nickname Rix Cerezo. I have been a resident of Glendale for about 8 years. And I started participating in this utility boxes program, and then expanded to other cities. So far, they have like 20 utility boxes in greater Los Angeles area. As a computer information specialist, I have been thinking about what is going to be the next step with these public artworks. So before doing anything, I decided to present this to my home city, so maybe you can get involved. I would like to make more interactive and dynamic artwork instead of just having a bidimensional artwork, a flat and static. So basically, I'm gonna pass this handout that I prepared. I don't know if there are enough for everybody. But basically what I'm looking for is to develop an app that allows to be like a platform that allows other artists, not just myself, to develop something like an experience around these utility boxes that we have here. The app will allow other artists to participate too, but basically it will, the way I envision this is to have an app that map out every of the location where the utility boxes are, highlight those that are interactive, then having like a visualization of the experience around these utility boxes. If the pilot program works well, I think we can start adding other locations like parks and sculpture, even buildings that create augmented reality experience. I haven't developed anything yet, but I am in the discussion with other developers and people related to this technology to see what is required in order to do this. And they said that basically you need developer, augmented reality developer, probably 3D animator. Now that I was hearing about the game jam that she was explaining, I think that will be a good connection, you know. But also we will need something like musicians, videographer, and the artists by themselves that participate and guide and, you know, create their ideas. The benefit for this project to City of Glendale will be, first, to drive unique visitors to this location, go viral through social media, the marketing that it comes with, drive coupon, additional information about every of these artworks, track visitor behaviors, increase indirect sales with the business around the area. The cost of this project, I have like a budget that I have been working with the developer, but all depends on what the city is expecting of this, if they get involved. At this moment, I'm trying to do it by myself, using my own funds, and probably that's what I'm looking for to have the city to get involved, so we can have like a grant or a fund in order to do something not for myself, but for other artists that has been exponing or presenting their work for the city. And I heard also that City of Glendale want to become like a location for the art. Well, I think that will create some innovation for the art.
Okay. Yeah.
So basically, since there is no deadline, I am just trying to leave this for the conversation, open to conversation. So I would like to have the participation of the city, probably some contacts, so if there are people involved, so we can do it together. Otherwise, I will try to do it by myself. Okay?
Thank you so
Great,
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's really interesting, and can I make a comment or no?
Of course you can.
You may, but I think you need to be, I don't know how you typically run it, but you should be acknowledged by the chair when making a comment so that she could regulate the time that it takes to run the meeting. So,
Go ahead and comment.
Okay. I think the idea of taking, first of all, the Beyond the Box program into a new dimension, literally, would be really great for us because everybody's doing Beyond the Box, and it would be nice to maybe pilot your ideas with the Utility Box program. And also, as you'll hear if you stick around for the rest of the meeting, there are other opportunities that will be coming up in the future that would be, you could answer a call and implement something like this that way. So,
Agreed. Okay.
anyway.
Anybody
Thanks
else
for
have
coming.
comments? Okay, thank you very much. So I'm assuming the other oral communication can wait until the agenda item is brought up?
It has to take place now as part of public comment.
Oh, it
You have one more,
does.
you have one more comment card.
Okay. It's for the agenda
For
item.
an agenda item.
Yeah,
Oh.
okay. Okay, then, next item, please.
Item 5, action item at 5A, report on the Brand Library Plaza series to have 12 concerts from June to August 2020. At 5A1, motion to note and file.
So Jennifer Fukutomi Jones, Arts and Culture Administrator. In conjunction with the Arts and Culture Commission's 2013-15 work plan, the Commission focused on a performance series on the reopening of the Brand Library and Arts Center. In January 2014, the Arts and Culture Commission issued a call for artists requesting proposals from performance artists and organizations and received a total of 46 submissions. In February 2014, the selection committee consisting of Arts and Culture Commissioners, Brand Library and Arts Center staff, and Arts and Culture staff reviewed these submissions and selected 11 artists and performances. From 2014 to 19, Brand Library staff has produced the Plaza series over the summer months of June through August and has steadily increased the audience to over 300 attendees per concert. Due to the popularity of the concerts, Brand Library has increased staffing to accommodate the popularity of the concerts, which has increased staffing costs associated with the Plaza series. In preparation for the programming of the 2020 Brand Library Plaza series, staff assessed the increase in the 2020 artist stipend and in the increasing staff costs associated with the Brand Library Plaza series. After reviewing costs, staff chose to program 8 concerts for the 2020 Brand Library Plaza series in order to work within the approved 2019-20 work plan budget allocation. At the January 16th, 2020 regular meeting of the Arts and Culture Commission, commissioners expressed concern with the decrease of the concerts for 2020. Staff has reassessed the 2020 Brand Library Plaza series and is now recommending 12 concerts to be programmed from June to August 2020, which would be in alignment with previous years of programming.
So because it is a motion to note and file, we can still have a discussion around the item and also have the speaker come up. So maybe would we like to have the speaker come up first, or how do you want us to go about
that's
it?
your prerogative, but certainly before you take a vote.
Okay. Then I'd like to invite up Gregory Ross with Brand Associates.
Oh, he wants to talk.
Chair Zadorian, Council Commissioners.
Not there.
I just wanted to, we're discussing this this item right now. We had our monthly Brand Associates board meeting last night, and this item obviously came up as well. We weren't aware of a lot of things that were going on, but we just wanted to confirm that our dedication to this series and that we are planning on contributing $2,500 to the Plaza series for this year on our behalf. So that was just an item that I wanted to bring to your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so this doesn't mean we are allowed to discuss and then vote. Okay, so does anybody have any comments, concerns to discuss? I know this was a topic of conversation the last meeting, and there were a few questions regarding what happened, why was it cut down, who was behind it, whatever, and we want to kind of get down to it and now kind of just be solution-based and move forward. And so now that we are back to 12 concerts, we can kind of just decide and vote. So does anyone have anything they'd like to say?
Madam Chair, may I? Gary Schaefer, Director of Library Arts and Culture. So yes, we heard you loud and clear from the last meeting, and so work to kind of reimagine how a funding scenario could work to make this more possible, and so have restored to 12 concerts. Happy to report that, and thank you for your all support and really dedication as far as obviously you care passionately about this. So I just wanted to let you know that. And it is, as you said, there is discussion that can happen. It should be kept to a minimum. Thank you.
I was under the,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was under the impression that we had two different items here. One was the number of performances, and the other one had to do with some issues related to the logistics and the production, the whole production issue.
There is. The first item, Madam Chair and Commissioner Vidor, is really just the note and file that we are back to 12.
Okay.
And
so
then we
note and
move
file.
on to discuss committee work as well as other items on this.
Okay, so this is not a vote.
No. Well, it is a vote, just to motion to note and file, and then we can discuss the actual elements in the second item.
Okay.
Commissioner
Question?
O'Connor?
Yeah, questions around this whole issue. Is it now that we asked, or do we wait for the next item? As to
Would you like to give a
budgetary
brief
questions,
summary?
Process, we have.
Seemed like the other item, which is the discussion of the logistics, should be first.
Okay.
Because,
Oh,
that's really.
Sorry,
Okay.
that's something we discussed.
Okay.
So you want to read
next
the
one.
second item into the record and receive a report on that before you move and vote on 5A?
Do you want to do the report on the elements first?
Well, it just seems that one logically follows the other, and that talking about how this whole thing happens. I think we all agree that we want 12, but the whole issue was what was behind the reduction.
And if there's agreement on 5A, perhaps you want to take a vote on that. It's just note and
So
file.
Okay.
we're all okay with it being now 12 performances. Let's go ahead and take
All
a
right,
vote,
let's
and then we
vote.
can discuss
Okay,
afterwards.
good.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I move to restore the Brand Library Plaza Series to 12 concerts
Okay.
from
Second.
June to August.
Actually, I guess I had, sorry. I had,
Is there
is there a
There's-
question, I guess, where is the funding for that going to come? I mean, is the funding structure changing to move it to 12? Because
So-
there's going to be some issue, I guess.
We've
that's
been
my
doing
question.
14.
So for procedural purposes, I think you're looking for a second on the vote, and then you can
So let's
continue
go-
to
All
let's
discuss
go
it.
I'll second, I'll
No.
second, I'll second.
Okay, now you
I
can
second
ask the
motion.
question
Sure.
regarding the funding.
Okay.
Funding should have been first, I think. But
Okay.
we'll note and file and say 12.
Okay, so let's move to the next item, please, so we can
We-
discuss.
I'm sorry. Is there a vote on that?
Or let's vote.
Okay.
So we have a motion, we have a second, please, roll call.
Commissioners Oshagan,
Yes.
Bayar,
Yes.
Vidor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Tufenkian,
Yes.
Chairperson Zadorian.
Yes. Next item, please.
Item 5B, report on the production elements of the Brand Library Plaza series. At 5B1, motion directing staff to draft an RFP for event management companies to produce the Brand Library Plaza series from June to August 2020.
Jennifer Fukutomi-Jones, Arts and Culture Administrator. So in conjunction with the Arts and Culture Commission's 2013-15 work plan, the Commission focused on the performance series of the reopening of the Brand Library and Arts Center. In 2014, 11 artists were programmed with the Brand Library Plaza series. From 2014 to 19, Brand Library staff has produced the Plaza series over the summer months of June through August and has steadily increased the audience to over 300 per concert. Due to the popularity of the concerts, Brand Library has increased staffing to accommodate the popularity of the concerts, which has increased staffing costs associated with the Plaza series. For the 2020 Brand Library Plaza series, Kaylee Cannon, Senior Library Arts and Culture Supervisor, will present a report on the Brand Library Plaza series, which will include recommendations to direct staff to draft an RFP for event management companies to produce the Brand Library Plaza series. So we'll welcome Kaylee.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Zadorian and members of the Commission. I'm pleased to present a report on the production elements of the Brand Library Plaza series. As we've discussed, the Plaza series began in 2014 following the reopening of Brand after a 2-year historic renovation project. And this outdoor concert series is supported by the City of Glendale, the Arts and Culture Commission, with funding from the Urban Art Program and the Brand Associates. So since its beginning, the Plaza series has focused on presenting an eclectic program of concerts featuring a wide range of musical styles that educate, inspire, and entertain. And I have some images, kind of the best of the Plaza series over the years. This was an image from the first performance back in June 2014. Alma Nova is a classical crossover guitar and flute duo, and they performed on our opening night. The series quickly attracted an audience, as you can see from this image, from Noche Flamenca later that summer. And then here's another view of the early seating arrangements and performance space back in 2014. So based on feedback, we tried some new seating arrangements in 2015. So we reversed the audience so they would face the park and rather than the building. And we also borrowed a stage from the Parks Department. And then we also experimented with performances in the round, as this image from an Aztec dance company. And then also picnicking became more popular as attendees were bringing their own chairs and blankets. So in preparation for the 2016 series, and I'm sorry this image is a little dark, but the library purchased a new stage and setup was provided by library staff and GYA employees. This is a little bit better. You can see that it's a taller stage that offered improved visibility and sightlines for both the audience and the musicians. So since 2017, staff have seen an increase in attendance at the Plaza series. We average about 300 people in attendance. We have a lot of people that are standing, as you can see, along the perimeter of the stage, on the stairs, and then also in the aisleways as well. So the Plaza has limited seating, about 9,500 seats. So we often will have audiences that are sitting inside in the atrium gallery or on the patio that's outside by the studios. So we're also challenged to provide space, not just for the seated audience, but also for the dancers that attend the energetic swing performances. This was the California Feet Warmers closing out 2017. And then we also welcomed Jonathan Stout and his Campus 5 in 2018. The size of the stage has also presented a challenge, especially for larger groups, groups that bring a lot of equipment, they have larger instruments or drum kits. It's really kind of designed to accommodate smaller musical groups with smaller instruments. As you can see in this image, it's much more manageable. Also in 2018, the library purchased a new sound system in response to feedback from musicians and from the audience, including our fancy new 24-channel mixer. As you can imagine, this requires additional setup, additional staffing, and extra time for sound checks as well. So it's become a more complex production. 2019 performances include the Grammy-winning Opium Moon, which melded Eastern and Western influences. We also have performances featuring Latin jazz, klezmer, vocal improvisation, country, and progressive rock. So a wide range of musical styles. And of course, picnicking continues to be popular, especially for families. So the community loves the Plaza series. Every year, Brand presents about 100 arts and music programs. We welcome about 150,000 visitors to the library and the gallery. However, our number of staff and our budget levels have remained essentially the same since 2014. So the purpose of my presentation today is to emphasize the value of the Plaza series to the community, also to express appreciation to the Commission for your ongoing support. I also hope that my presentation has brought attention to some of the production challenges of the Plaza series. Weekly concerts are extremely taxing on staff. We also have other responsibilities, other programs that we're managing. We have space issues, as you saw from the images, with overcrowding. wear and tear on the landscaping and the facilities, crowd control. So these are all additional challenges. The stage that we have has exceeded its useful life, especially for larger performance groups. So we need to look at alternatives for this as well. And then sound quality and audio issues are another concern, especially with the outdoor performance. So Los Angeles area is home to many professional management companies that specialize in producing community-based concerts and events. And so this is one possible solution that would alleviate some of the production challenges that staff are currently dealing with. And then also, planning for the future, 2020 marks the 7th year of the Plaza series. And so going forward, I would like to work with Library Arts and Culture staff and with the commission as well on some long-term strategic plan regarding the Plaza series, and also discussions to prepare for future growth and development of programming. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Any questions for Kaylee?
Well, I know we're going to consider a solution for 2020, but I guess, and I don't want to put you on the spot, Kaylee. Thank you for your presentation. It was very nice to see that recap of all the great memorable moments at the Plaza series. But, you know, in terms of a wish list, you know, you did say, and you made your point very succinctly, that you have challenges that are getting to be insurmountable. So what would be your wish list for 2020? Ooh. It's the last time you'll be asked that on television in Glendale.
My dream is a professional outdoor performance space, possibly an amphitheater or something like that, and a professional production company that can provide the staffing support, the equipment.
2020. We're doing 2020 right now.
2030. February. Plenty of time. But yes, a production company would be a tremendous help to staff.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
I also want to thank you for your presentation, Kaylee. Trip down memory lane. And, you know, we also, I believe, all of Glendale really values the Plaza series. I mean, the attendance that we have, I think, exceeds really the attendance, consistent attendance to any other kind of cultural or artistic event we have here in the city, except for the brand gallery openings, of course. So, so I was always under the impression, and this is clearly, I should have looked further into it, that the commission basically funds A to Z of the Plaza series. Clearly, that's not the case. And I would like to get an idea of how much staff funds or how much library funds are being expended, have been expended all these years. I believe we have a $30K budget for the Plaza series a year. Does the library also spend $30K? Do you spend $60K? Or, you know, I'd like to get just an idea of that.
Off the top of my head, I don't have an answer, but I can prepare something if that's...
The point is, like, the Urban Art Program Plan fund can't fund staff. So staff are have to be funded via the library. And when it was a small series, that was a little more manageable. And so we're a victim of our success. You know, we've been widely successful. And so it's kind of like having one's, you know, it was great to have one's, you know, cousin Vinny perform, you know, do the sound and all of that. But at this point, you know, it's kind of grown beyond that. And then, so it's reaching a level where, you know, we have a great young man who works for the library, works in our sound space, that's currently doing the sound up there. We rely on staff from, you know, the city who, while the city staff are very reliable, sometimes some of the folks that they've contracted with aren't as reliable. So all that has to be, you know, funded, and it gets funded out of the library budget. And so in the library budget, you know, we are very happy with the city and how the city funds the library, but all cities and the city in particular have their budget restrictions, and so we are constantly looking at one of our largest costs is labor, and so we are constantly working at how can we do that, how can we fund it, and so this seems to be the research that Kaylee's done and Jennifer have worked on together. Seems to be like the best solution for how do we make this continue to happen at the level, that we want it to happen, as opposed to just cutting it off at the knees and saying, well, let's cut the number of performances because we just can't afford the staff. Let's get creative. We have an urban art fund. That is what it is for. This is a popular series among Glendalians, so let's look at how we can fund this going forward. So
Are there any of the costs, current costs, that we could pick up?
So not of staff, but
Other
but
things,
if there's
the new stage.
Potentially. And the other piece of that would be, like a production company, because to buying a stage, we have a stage now. It's gone beyond its useful life. It's not serving any longer. So then so that would be wonderful, but that doesn't, that doesn't help with the labor part of it. And thinking, one of the best solutions would be like we want to present Glendale in the best light. So having a professional company do this would do that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, thank you. And I noticed when I went back and looked in the work plan, I noticed that we had committed to 14 performances for $30,000, and that would be the cost of the performers. So, clearly we're going back to 12, but have we ever done 14?
I think usually it's either 12 or 13. It depends on the 4th of July holiday.
Right.
That's
And given the fact that we all realize with all these series going on that getting really world-class entertainment gets more expensive every year, is $30,000 paying adequately to attract 12 top-notch performers? I guess.
Well, yeah, I think that's part of when I was talking about a long-term, strategic plan. Is thinking about, and doing maybe a cost comparison with, similar types of performances.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions?
Yeah, so I guess the commission paid for the stage and for all that high quality sound equipment back a couple of years ago?
No, that was the library.
No, that was the library. So I mean, that's something that we could have clearly paid for from the art fund. And I know, so this discussion is to bring back a budget or some kind of presentation of what it would cost to bring in a production company, right? And so the idea is to have the sound equipment ourselves and the stage, and have a production company come and just install and do the sound check and stuff like that. Is that the idea?
I think that would be part of the request for proposals, is to find out what other companies can provide, because there's companies that will just set up the stage, other companies that can do lighting, companies that can do audio. There's a lot of different options, as I should say, and staffing.
Madam Chair, and Commissioner Oshigan, so the fund is actually extremely limited in what we can pay for. And I would have to check it very carefully, but at this time, I don't believe that it could fund equipment purchase. It could fund equipment rental, but I do not, to the best of my knowledge, it would not fund equipment, even a stage. Thank you for thinking of that, but I actually do not believe, and we'll certainly look, but I'm fairly certain it cannot fund a stage or equipment.
So what is it exactly that we want the RFP for? It's just for the event management company, which we can fund, but we cannot fund a new stage, so that would be up to the library to purchase, and it's a one-time fee?
or it could be possible, and only potentially possible, that until we start doing the research, that is something that the professional management company could provide.
So that would be incorporated into not only the staffing, they would also bring audio, visual, as well as the stage, and it's all going to be incorporated. And do we have a budget for that? Because right now the 30,000 is directly for performers. So what is the budget that we can use, and what is the amount that you guys have estimated?
So I would turn that over to my colleagues, and Jennifer may have the answer for that.
Kaylee did the research on the estimates for costs. So do you want to share kind of your estimates of what that would be? Off the top of my head, and don't quote me, Glendale City, but I think it was about $25,000 to $30,000
Per year.
per year to have event management companies.
So we're going to be doubling the cost.
Do 12 events.
To 12 events, specifically for brands.
Stage and the
To bring the
audio,
stage
everything.
and audio.
But, okay, so my other thing is that we had budgeted for 14 performances for 30,000. So now that it's 12 performances, how much is the actual that we're going to be spending?
I would assume it's in that ballpark, but I would defer to Kaylee.
So, and these are very preliminary estimates, but ranging 42 to 45,000.
That covers what?
Was the low end of the estimate.
What is that covering?
That includes stage setup, security, audio setup, and the artist stipends.
Oh, the
and the
artists are included in that.
So we would just subtract that because that's already budgeted for.
So we'd end up paying a 10 to 15, and that's on the lower end.
Yes.
And that's for
And
the
I would
entire.
probably budget 20 to 25. Obviously, we put out a request for proposal, we review those, and then make the decision and go with the most, the best choice for us.
Okay. And then the other part was that after discussing is, do we want to include 222 East in this as well? And we provide the management company to do the same thing. So we can discuss that if that's something we're interested in. So we just include that in the RFP. And so it's Brand Plaza and 222 East. And we just budget for the same audio and tech company management company to come out and take care of that. Obviously, I'm not you have nothing to do with 222 East. So you can't.
Can't speak to that.
Sorry. But so that's something we can discuss, and then we can also include in the RFP if we want. Do we want to add that? How do you guys feel about that?
Good, very good call, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the idea.
So it's needed
Definitely, yeah.
for
Well,
222.
It's the same thing with 222 East. It's the staff does all the setup and equipment.
That's correct. Yeah.
Haul it from the library out, right? Yeah.
So we would be
So
adding
this-
another. So how many performances are in the 222 East?
Five.
Five. So
this
it would
year.
cost less for the management company, so we can round it to about 5 to 10,000 additional. So we can just budget that in. Are we all in agreement that we can add that into the RFP?
I think the RFP should include the
Kay-
whole thing, too.
Okay. Thank you very much
a good
for
suggestion.
your presentation.
Thank you.
I think
for
we
your
can.
time and your support. Yes.
Now, do we want to have any questions or anything? Go ahead. In general, for ourselves.
I have a question about procedure. I don't know if this is.
Did you want to ask Kayla?
Yeah, perhaps. So.
Okay, sorry, you're not done here.
Yeah, okay, so I don't know, I'm not sure where the answer would come from, but there was a procedural issue in terms of this issue itself that, I was a little bit bothered by the fact that we had no idea that the number of performances had changed, because I was under the impression that we were paying for the whole thing, but see, that was not the proper impression, so I shouldn't have perhaps been bothered as much. It was more of a, I guess, a internal staff kind of decision to make, depending on the budget and the ability of the staff to handle that. Yeah. I think it would have been nice to have been informed that this is happening, rather than us finding out from external sources that such a decision was made.
So, Commissioner Oshigan, if I may, first, our apologies. There was nothing nefarious intended. It was simply a matter of trying to control and contain costs. Nice to know that everyone is so passionate about this. I know at least one commissioner that regularly attends. I didn't know that the rest of you attended, so please do in the future. But it could have been handled better, and so we apologize for that. But it is, it is a bit what it is. And I believe it was at least one commissioner, kind of brought it to my attention that there was this issue. And I was under the impression you all learned here at this meeting last month. No, you had heard about it beforehand. So, our apologies for that, because that's not how we'd like to operate.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kaylee.
Yes,
Thank you,
Kaylee.
Kaylee.
Sorry.
Good presentation.
Yes, thank you for answering all our questions.
Sure.
The plan would be to have the production company in place for this year's, right?
Correct.
This year's.
So the process would kind of be faster, obviously, because we need to get the RFP prepared, approved, and then put out to have somebody
Pretty
by
quickly.
June.
That's
So let's
what I'm
go
gonna
ahead
do when I
and,
get back to the office.
if everyone's ready,
Vote fast.
let's go ahead and get a vote going if
Vote early
everybody's
and
ready.
vote often.
Does anybody want to make a motion to direct staff to draft the RFP?
I would love to do that.
Okay, do
I
have a
would like to
second?
make a motion directing staff to draft an RFP for, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it says for managing, event management companies to produce the Brand Library Plaza series from June to August 2020.
And 222.
Plus 222 East.
And 222.
And to do it.
And 222
Thank you.
East.
Friendly
yes.
amendment.
Do you have a second?
I second.
Okay. Roll call?
Okay. Commissioners Oshigan,
Yes.
Vyar,
Yes.
Vidor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Tufenkian,
Yes.
Chairperson Zadorian.
Yes. Okay, next item, please.
Item 5C, nominations for artist selection committees at 5C1, Adams Square Mini Park Gas Station.
Jennifer Fukutomi Jones, Arts and Culture Administrator. At this point, we're going to choose a new slate of artist selection committees. We have 4 committees that are on the slate for this year. The Adams Square Mini Park Gas Station, 222 East Concert Series / Brand Library Plaza Series, Beyond the Box Utility Box Mural Program, and Dia de los Muertos Celebration. So shall we start with the Adams Square Mini Park Gas Station?
Does anyone want to nominate themselves?
Oh, well, I would like to abstain from being involved in Adams role because
Good.
I live there and I'm involved in the community there and don't think it would be appropriate for me to be on the selection committee for that reason.
I'll do that.
I'll do that too.
All right, we have 2 people, Commissioner Oshigan and Commissioner Tufenkian. Oh, sorry, Vice Chair Tufenkian.
222 East Concert Series, Brand Library Plaza Series.
I'll go ahead and do that. I'll nominate myself. Anyone else?
I'll do that too. And we're each picking 2.
Yes.
Oh, 2. Everybody does 2.
Yeah.
Okay, Beyond the Box Utility Box Mural Program.
I'll nominate myself for that.
I can join you with that.
And Dia de los Muertos Celebration.
And I'll nominate myself for that one.
And I guess I need to do another one.
Oh, then we don't get 2 people on each, but that's fine. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I mean, if I'm needed for both, Beyond the Box and Dios de los Muertos, I would do both.
She's good. And this year we do not, we no longer have the, there was the Downtown Specific Plan Committee. That does not exist anymore, correct? Because we had, Sean Sahakian was on it and we never voted against, so I assume it does not meet anymore and therefore we don't have to vote on, okay. All right. Congratulations. I think we can move forward. Next item.
Item
Or-
6,
Sorry.
Just for the sake of,
need to vote?
memorializing this, you probably want to take a vote. I think we've made a note of each of the names, and you can vote on it as a whole rather than
Okay.
individuals.
So does anyone want to make a motion to pass all of those nominations as a whole?
Can somebody restate the names?
Sure. Adams Square Mini Park Gas Station, we have Vice Chair Tufenkian and Commissioner Oshigan. 222 East Concert Series, Brand Library Plaza Series, we have Chair Zadorian and Vice Chair Tufenkian. Beyond the Box Utility Box Mural Program, Commissioner Vidor and Commissioner Vyar. Dia de los Muertos Celebration, Commissioner Vyar and Commissioner Vidor.
Okay. Motion. Does somebody want to?
I move, I so move.
Second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Commissioners Oshigan,
Yes.
Vyar,
Yes.
Vidor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Tufenkian,
Yes.
Chairperson Zadorian.
Yes. And sorry, this is my first official day as chair, so there's a few hiccups, but thank you
far,
guys.
I haven't seen
Okay. Moving forward, next item.
Item 6, discussion items. At 6A, 2019-2020 work plan progress updates.
So first up, we have Citywide Arts. Staff has drafted an RFQ for an art consultant, and staff will incorporate the Commission's recommendations on the RFQ with the goal of releasing the RFQ in March 2020, and you have that as part of your packet. So if there are any edits or recommendations you would like to include, please let us know. We will make sure to.
I had something.
Okay.
Thank you for drafting that. It looked really great. But I was surprised to see that it was so centric. Maybe I misunderstand what this particular RFP is for, that it was so centric to ArtSoc Plaza. I realize that we do want to do something in ArtSoc, but I think 4 of the 5 things were ArtSoc, if I recall. And perhaps we could expand the call. If we want to do that many projects in ArtSoc, maybe we could add more projects to this RFP and make it maybe a long-term thing. I also felt that the level of the type of person we're looking for here, the $25,000 really isn't enough, and that the whole project should be bumped up budget-wise, possibly, I think, based on the fact that we have approximately right now $6 or something million in our overall budget, that perhaps we should double or even go higher on this consultant, use them longer, and have them curate for ArtSoc and some of the other places where we talked about placing iconic art, such as the Glen Oaks Median Strip and the entryways to the city, rather than just being focused on downtown Glendale. So I wouldn't take away what you suggested. I'd keep that, but add more. I also think, and this is kind of going out on the limb a little bit, and it's a little more strategic, and maybe we don't want to include it, but that we need to codify issues related to wall art at some point, because certainly this type of thing here, iconic, whatever we want to call it, big public art, could include wall art. And many of the municipalities in the LA area, including LA itself, have well-defined mural codes, and ours is a little bit iffy. And in fact, it's it doesn't even really exist. It's a couple sentences here and there scattered around the municipal code. So that's something we should look at doing simultaneously, kind of working on that. Let's see, I had something else. Oh yeah, the definitions I thought maybe should be pumped up a little bit, like on iconic art, maybe say, immersive, interactive, use a lot of the language that we've used to define that. Participatory, there's a lot of adjectives that we've used, and we should really try to pull those types of things out when we seek out a curator. And I'd also like to suggest, and this may be a little controversial, that we kind of carve out literal figurative bronze statues that depict historic characters as being an art form that we'd rather minimize, because it's been done so many times in Glendale, and I realize anybody can call and anybody can answer a call, but this is sort of the type of thing that I think we feel we would like to go beyond, and I don't know whether it's appropriate to carve something out in an RFP, but I'd certainly like to do that if we could. And then talk about the fact that we want our art to be interpretive, we want to be able to stimulate people's imaginations, and produce and display art that is subject to differing interpretations, so that we get conversations going and we get people to slow down and interact with the work. So, sometimes we've been very, very literal in our choices for public art here in Glendale, and we need to move away from that. So I don't know if it's appropriate to consider that, but that's what I'm thinking. And then on the monument signage, I wasn't sure. Oh, wait, there was another one. There was one I didn't understand what it was. Oh, project partners in the selection process. Who would be, are we delineating in this RFP who would be part of the selection team for these art pieces? And if so, of course, I think the commission should be represented, but that it be a very diverse team. So is that who the project partners are?
Absolutely. Obviously, we haven't defined who's going to be on the actual panel committee, but definitely we can have commission representation on that panel.
Okay.
Project partners would be in conjunction with, if we were to partner with the community development department, a staff member from that department would be on there.
Yeah.
So as if we worked with Parks and Recreation, a park staff member would be a representative of a
Okay.
potential partner.
Okay. And then there was one more thing.
May
didn't
I also,
yeah.
sorry.
Go ahead.
The other thing is the city has, as you well know, selected a company that's working on that street.
Yes.
And so obviously we need to make sure the art will work with that. So I see them as,
Sure.
I think they're Studio 111.
Right.
They would likely be a partner. We would need
sure.
them, so.
Definitely. I wasn't sure, my other question, I found it, is what is monument signage exactly? I wasn't sure what that was.
So monument signage is specifically in regards to the Art Sock Avenue. They are branding the aesthetic of the Art Sock Avenue. So monument signage would be in conjunction with that specific street. So that's what that was in conjunction with.
That sort of labeling Arts
Correct.
Plaza as
Correct.
what it is. Okay.
But economic development's not already doing that after the renovation of the area?
Yeah.
They had, the consultants had kind of presented a conceptual piece. And actually, if I recall correctly, City Council wasn't enamored of those pieces. And so they thought it would be better to have a professional artist design those. So they suggested that those be included in the call to have, a professional consultant work with the Arts and Culture Commission to hire someone to do something that's a little, more on the edge out there than what the consultant had.
Are you referring to the cardboard models that they created on
No,
the day that
these-
they were activating ArtSock?
I wasn't there that day, so I didn't see those, but there were these visuals of it was an interesting. Have you seen the work in the iconic work in Philadelphia, or a picture of it, of the love, so using the letters in a different way. So this was using ArtSock, the word in a creative way, and no one was really that enamored of it. So they thought they would rather have a professional artist come up with
Absolutely.
something.
So they will not be doing anything, and that will kind of be us deciding what goes and what is done.
We would be making the recommendation to City Council, yes.
Okay. And we'll be funding it as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. I'm done.
But does that not go back to the kind of the temporary pieces that we've been talking about having on ArtSock? Or the monument's going to be something that's permanent?
These would be much more permanent.
Okay.
And this would be one piece, or?
Actually, I think initially they were looking at the possibility of 3 pieces because there's a street that cuts through. So having it placed kind of when you got to the area, you would know, not that you wouldn't know you were there, but you would really know you were there. So kind of helping to delineate and define the area.
And all 3 pieces done by the same artist, or would it be different?
Most likely, but it could be different. We just would have to see what the calls produce and what the consultant recommends.
I kind of do agree that, I love ArtSock Paseo, and I'm glad that we're focusing, but kind of there's a lot that's only happening there. The monument signage is there, the shade canopy's there, the digital projections is there. I thought we also kind of wanted to lean out of just the entertainment district. I know we're going to be doing neighborhood arts, but if everything is focused there, it's how are people from all over the city going to see if they don't pass through there on a daily basis or ever?
No, and I think that's very good suggestions by the commission to expand it. Because quite frankly, you're bringing in this consultant, you might be able to attract a higher, not that they're all not great quality consultants, but a higher, level consultant if we're looking at larger than that. And if we're going to be doing that and we're picking pieces beyond just that area, why not bring in the consultant to help us and guide us through that?
Okay, so this is basically just, obviously the RFP can state things, but once we hire the consultant, we can kind of recommend other areas to them as well. This is just a breakdown of what we're looking at, what we want to see.
But I do think Commissioner Vidor is correct that we should expand it in the RFP.
Right. Maybe expand the salary of the consultant and expand the number of pieces.
Yeah. Okay.
And I like the idea of, while I'm thinking of it, somebody said on the edge, there's all kinds of language we can put in that RFP to telegraph our interest in not resorting to cliches like
Yeah.
like imitating the love sign and putting the Artsakh letter. I mean, we've got to now step up to being, welcome to the planet Glendale. Here you are, and we're different. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I would
Okay,
echo
go
that.
ahead.
I mean, I think definitely what the language that has to go in here will attract a kind of curator that's looking to do the kind of art that we want, right? So if we like to have two-dimensional, three-dimensional static statues in here, then that's the kind of curator we're going to attract, right? But if we do the language of contemporary art and immersive and interactive and technology-based, then we'll get the kind of artists that we want. So we don't need to have subtractive language, which I think is always bad. We don't want this
Right,
art.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think we
It's
always
not
want to
good.
say we want,
Agreed.
we'll move in this direction, cutting edge. So I think that part of it needs to be enhanced a little bit. And we've come up with a lot of those terms in the past, I think, right, in our documents that we've generated. I would also agree and echo to add, what I would suggest to add like a temporary art also. So iconic art, temporary art all over the city. So that would include not only Artsakh Paseo that we want to get out and not focus on, but the medians and the other spaces in the city where this consultant that was going to bring the kind of art that we want to bring can find places to put it and bring the artists that we want to bring, right? So I think you could have a heading here that has temporary art all over the city, right? So it's citywide temporary art that could go Montrose and South Glendale, all over the place, right?
And they'll also be the ones finding the locations, right? Because that's what we've been discussing for a long time, is who's going to find the right locations for these areas, who's going to start, like, I used the word archiving last time, but like noting all the different locations that we can use for public art, along with public buildings, like city-owned buildings and land. So if we can, I don't
Right,
know if
so
that's
that would be
in
part
the
of
RFP, but if we can include that in there, that's also another aspect that we'll need them to work on, which now I totally agree that we should double the pay because we're asking for a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I think that would have to be done with staff probably because,
Yeah.
right, unless there's somebody who's local who knows all the ins and outs of
Well, I
it.
hope they work with staff.
But yeah, I think that's an important part, like,
Yeah.
in meetings with the city, can we put something in this median, for instance? I don't know, we always talk about the Glen Oaks median, but maybe there's some issue there. You can't put art for some reason, right? So there's all these things that have to happen.
Yeah, but we
work
can,
with staff.
certainly put it in the RFP and say, we want the curator to be able to consider everything. And then, of course, if there's some reason that, we've been through the thing with painting on the street and tried to get art on the actual street itself, and that was determined to be not doable, but it may come back and it may in the future be doable. We don't have any murals now, but we will in the future. So walls, streets, buildings, hanging from the trees, everything, and just make it like we can consider everything. It may not always be approved, but we don't want to carve out. I agree. It's not good to carve out any opportunities or even any types of art. But
Might I
And
add?
it's a two-year commitment?
Based on the current timeline, but if we want to update it, we can definitely update it.
So I was just going to say that in addition to, working obviously with staff and city staff, it's also working with the community. So getting out there and, talking to the community. That came across loud and clear in our public meeting we had in early January. We want to have that community support and not be coming into a neighborhood and saying, we're gifting you with this, and they
no.
don't necessarily want it, so.
100%. Okay, and the others, I'm sorry. Actually, you go ahead.
Should I? So the third paragraph in this project background description clearly states that 5 artworks strategically located in the downtown arts and entertainment district, right? But this RFP, as we said, I think this is very, very specific language, and the artwork's very specific to that space. We don't need to be, I think, that specific, right? Like the shade canopy, it's a type of artwork that clearly makes sense to us, but, you know, I don't know if you need to specify, to be that specific in terms of the
As
kind
far
of
as
artwork.
using the word shade canopy or using, I missed.
Yeah, I mean, the shade canopy is a specific type of artwork.
But that is the actual, like, that's what they presented to us. That's what we agreed to look at. So it doesn't mean it's a kind of shade canopy. That can be interpreted very broadly, what a shade canopy is. But that is something that was, you know, when they put it out to us, we said, yes, that would be a great thing to do. So that is actually a specific thing. I don't think we need to be as specific, you know, as we look at beyond that area, then we have a lot more options.
Well, could we say,
Okay, yeah, that-
instead
that
of
makes
shade
sense.
canopy, could we say a work of art that floats above the street and produces shade? So the word canopy, like when I hear canopy, I think of like this thing I ordered to hang over my door at my house, you know, like a sailcloth thing. And, you know, people do a lot of really interesting stuff with canopies, but it won't necessarily be a canopy.
So I think they were using that in a little more broad sense, but if you would like, perhaps we can use language
around
that's
with
a little
the
more
language a little.
broad.
I know it might be a little early in the process, but I just wanted to know, when the art consultant is brought in, are we going to be part of the process? How involved are we going to be? And what is our say in who is chosen? Are we going to be sitting in on the interviews? Because that's very important.
So we will have a presentation next month from a colleague in legal who will talk to us about what our duties are and our powers, but I want you all to be involved as possible. I am not going to go out on a limb right now and say the interviews because I'm unsure. I will lobby for that, and I will work towards that. But but you will definitely be, you know, that consultant will be working with you, just as when we had the consultant working on the urban art program plan before your time and my time was involved with the commission. So we will work as much as possible to engage you as much as possible within the letter of the law, within, you know, all of that. So
But if there's 2-3 applications, we'd be able to.
I don't know, but I will lobby for you that is your desire.
Because we got lucky with Jennifer. I know we weren't allowed to be part of the process because she's technically part of the library staff.
She's a city employee.
She's
so
a city
you were not-
employee,
yes.
but because it is a consultant and independent and part of the Arts and Culture Commission, I would hope that we will be involved.
Okay.
So thank you.
I will convey that.
With the project partners.
Okay, next item, please.
Can I just have clarification in regards to the amount?
Oh, sorry, I'm
that
sorry.
the amount was going to be expanded.
Yes.
Just so that I have clarity regarding that.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Well, I was thinking, you said $25,000 for the consultant, and I was thinking like 75 to 100,000, something like that, and then
Yeah.
we would, if we're doubling the potential amount of pieces from 5 to 10, or to 8, or whatever, that we just ramp up the total amount.
So Commissioner, would you mind if we kind of work on that? I just, you know,
Yeah,
we're thinking
sure.
it's like if you're going to be buying a piece of real estate, we don't put it on television so that the person knows
Right.
our negotiations
Right.
ahead of time. So,
Right. Gotcha.
so if you will, we'll look at how you wish to expand, and then we'll expand accordingly. They came across loud and clear. We'd like to expand it beyond just art sock, so it's going to be more cost to the budget, and then that you felt that the fee was lacking. So we'll work on that.
But is the fee per year, or is it for the entirety of the 2 years? It's for 2 years.
The entirety.
Okay. So obviously we want to get this draft approved because we want to move forward. So
So typically, we issue the RFP, so we bring it to you all so that we can make sure that we have the spirit of what you're looking at.
Okay.
You get your input here, but the city will issue it. So now we'll take, you know, what we heard today,
Okay.
work that in, and then, you know, put it out on the street as it were.
So Arlene recommended a 75 to 100,000. That's something that you guys can discuss and propose. What else did you guys recommend on the commission? Did anybody else have a recommendation?
I think we
Or-
wanted the language to be specific to something that's a little more contemporary.
No, in
And
regards to
this-
pay specifically. How do you
In
feel?
regards to pace.
Again,
We should decide on.
Madam Chair, if we can limit the discussion on the fees, because essentially we are broadcasting what your upper limit is going to be. So if you have someone who's going to come in at $30,000, you've just told them that you're willing to pay
Yeah.
far more than that. And so certainly staff will take the comments into consideration. We want to make sure that the work product and the services that are being provided are commensurate with the fees that they receive, and certainly limiting that discussion here at this time, understanding that staff may come back and request some additional funds, not necessarily knowing what that amount will be, and you'll have an opportunity at that time to comment on whether or not it's too much or too little.
Okay. I just want to make sure everybody's okay with possibly adding funds. Are we okay with this?
Yeah,
We're not in
maybe.
disagreement about
Yeah,
it?
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Need to increase the funds.
Now, one more thing regarding funding, and I don't know if that's something we can go over or not, but the amount that is allowable to be used per artwork or sculpture or whatever.
There's not necessarily like a set amount that the city's established. Obviously, we have to live within our budget, so.
Any other comments or questions? Then we can go ahead and move forward to the next item.
Okay, the next discussion item is neighborhood arts. As of right now, actually, Diane Williams is in the Adams Square Mini Park gas station installing her new art installation, and we have an upcoming, as we mentioned, opening reception at the Adams Square Mini Park gas station this Sunday, February 23rd from 3 to 5 p.m. So we hope you'll all be there. Next up, we have performing arts staff.
I have
Oh,
a comment.
yes.
I'm sorry I won't be able to go this weekend, but I did go to Puppets and Portraits, and I thought that was just charming and wonderful and magical and whimsical. So curators, wherever you were, thank you. However, one of the things I think we need to work on a little bit is to make sure that the calls delineate a professional presentation. And the thing that concerned me about that one was that gas station is a glass box, and that's what makes it a unique venue for art. And the artwork was not entirely visible because it was on easels that were somewhat below the site level. So I think that we have to make it clear that the art should always be visible, as Hollywood Hustle was.
Yeah.
Even though that wasn't a very site-specific piece, it was beautifully mounted. So easels, to me, is not a professional grade mounting of artwork, two-dimensional art. I think we should prohibit the use of easels and request a mounting, and if there's anything that would need to be done to the gas station, because I know I appreciate what Luke went through because he was by himself and he had to do the whole thing, and he needed 4 hands and he didn't have 4 hands for the installation. So we need to make it clear that people need to do that, and also maybe focus our choices on site-specific, because that is a unique site, and everything is worked beautifully in there, but the more site-specific the artwork can be, I think the more it brings out the uniqueness of the venue itself. So, but I would say that we don't allow easels anymore, because I'd like to hear what other people think
Could we
about
possibly have like a platform, something that would raise the artwork?
that. Well, a platform would work. Hanging from the walls has always worked.
Oh, that's great.
When GUSD, there was an art exhibit where GUSD students and parents made paintings, and they hung them from the ceiling at different angles, which is what Hollywood Hustle did, what he did, and it was all beautiful. So, yeah, a platform or hanging, just something other than easels. What?
Just a quick point of clarification on the minutes earlier. On the January minutes, we had unanimous affirmative vote, but we did note that there was an absence, and that would be
Yes.
okay to vote in the affirmative if you had an opportunity to view the meeting on video, and you can attest to the accuracy of the minutes. So if that's the case, then, okay, then no changes need to be made. Thank you.
Any other?
I have a question. City has installers on staff. We're about to get a couple of new installers. Could we help
New
the
what?
items, mini
So-
items?
So, Madam Chair,
I
Commissioner
guess we can't
Oshigan.
because they're staff.
Their
so
staff,
there's no-
we cannot fund them out of the Urban Art Program
Yeah.
Plan. The artists are agreed to do it. Artists could hire an installer. They are paid. We've upped the fee for them, so they know the venue. They actually, they're allowed to view the venue. She can take them inside the venue. So it's really their responsibility to do that. We certainly can, note, I would say in addition to banning easels, that we just say, this is how it is set up. And so work within it, make the art as visible as possible, because it also depends on what's being presented. So when someone like, the holiday exhibition that's put in there has got so much going on, but you can clearly see everything. So, she clearly takes the venue into, so it's really up to the artist to do that. And they are compensated.
Any other comments? Okay, we can move forward.
Okay. Discussion of performing arts. Staff met with Artist Selection Committee for the Plaza Library Series and 222 East Concert Series on February 14th, 2020 to review artist applications. Blair Whittington, music librarian, will present the proposed programming for both the Brand Plaza Library Series and 222 East Concert Series.
No.
Good afternoon, Chair Zadorian and members of the commission. It's enjoyable to come up here and talk about this.
It's not stressful.
So just to clarify, the Brand Library Plaza series is Fridays at 7 p.m. and the 222 East is at the Arcsoc Paseo on Saturdays at 4 p.m. in October. So it's 5 Saturdays at 4. And let me just start out as far as our mission statement for the Plaza series. The Brand Library Plaza series is a festive outdoor summer concert series that provides access to a broad variety of diverse musical talents to educate, inspire, and entertain. The series features outstanding performances by exemplary musicians with the attention of deepening cultural understanding. These concerts are free and open to the public through generous sponsorship from the Glendale Arts and Culture Commission's Urban Art Program and the Brand Associates. So let's see if my clicker works. There we go. Okay. I have Jennifer to back me up. Okay, so here are the recommended artists for the Brand Library Plaza series. So the Allan Jazz Orchestra, the Arohi Ensemble, Black Market Reverie, the Firebird Ballet-Like Ensemble, Las Chicas, the Leftover Cuties, Masanga Marimba, Reckless Night Ensemble, Ricardo Lemvo and Makina Loca, Son Rios, String Harmonies, and the Romies. So we'll start with the Allan Jazz Orchestra. It's nice to have a big band there with that big sound, and Allan certainly is a very capable musician, has assembled a great big band. He's won composing and arranging awards, so this will be a great band to have on the series. I think even one of the videos we were looking at, he pulled in a soloist playing a traditional Chinese instrument, wind instrument, with a big band backing. It was a very exciting sound. So, the Arohi Ensemble is a traditional Indian group, and so they have instruments like the sitar, bansuri, which is a woodwind instrument, and the tabla. So it'll be a lot of fun to learn about Indian music and listen to. Black Market Reverie, they've played at Central before. They're a crossover of pop, jazz, classic French, and Americana. And lots of vocal harmonies, a lot of fun. The Firebird Ballet-Like Ensemble has played at Brand before, a high-energy Russian group. They have those triangle-shaped ballet-likas, which are so fun with that.
and quite a bit of virtuosity and high energy, so they'll be a big hit. Las Chicas is an all-female salsa Latin group, very polished, a great group, lots of vocal harmonies and a lot of fun. Leftover Cuties. Interesting about them is they wrote the theme song for the Showtime series, The Big C. And they've performed a lot locally, and they have instruments. They do pops, rock, and swing. They have ukulele, trumpet, accordion, bass, a very fun group. Masanga Marimba has played at Brand before. They combine Latin and African music. They have those giant Zimbabwe marimbas that they play, and it's a very fun, high-energy group. Reckless Night Ensemble. Well, this is an interesting group. I've met Skip Heller before, who runs it, and he was very interested in Raymond Scott, who you may not know, but you probably know the music because they licensed his music for some of the Warner Brothers cartoon music. And he does a lot of Raymond Scott's arrangements. And he also, the other half of the program is Lalo Guerrero, and he was friends with Lalo and transcribed a lot of his music. Lalo was the father of Chicano music and had a lot of fun kind of big band era things. And he had a long career. So Skip's bringing both of those back to life in this fun group. Ricardo Lemvo and Makina Loca. Ricardo's from Angola. This is an Afro-Cuban music where everybody's going to get up and dance, that's for sure, with him. He's a lot of fun. Son Rios is another Latin group. Lots of brass, percussion, a salsa band that's a big hit, so a lot of fun. String Harmonies. I've worked with them before. They've been, they perform traditional and classical Armenian music. They have an oud in the group, in addition to bass, drums, and percussion. And they're really great to work with, and they seem to appeal to a lot of different audiences. Very professional. The Romies, a husband and wife duo. With a band, and they're singer-songwriters, lots of vocal harmonies, eclectic pop, folk, country, and bluegrass influences. Okay, and next, the 222 East. So there's 5 concerts. So the bands we were talking about were Coveted Future, the LA Contemporary Big Band, Moforo, Paris Chansons, and Rhythms of the Village. Okay, Coveted Future, as you can see, they're very young. It's a young up-and-coming band that plays funk, rock, R&B, ska, and hip-hop. They work very hard, and I think they'll be very impressive. So, LA Contemporary Big Band. This is a nice old-style 17-piece big band, so another big sound, but this time at the Artsock Paseo, so it's very exciting. Moforo is a Brazilian samba group, and they've played all over LA, and they've done many concerts. Another group that'll be fun and danceable. Paris Chansons was one of our big draws at Brand, and we are recommending them to come down to the Artsock Paseo. They do a lot of covers of things like Edith Piaf and Charles Aznavour and big hits, and they're a lot of fun. And last but not least, these aren't in any order as far as the programming, but is Rhythms of the Village, which is Nigerian music, which is a lot of fun, and it's singing, dancing, percussion, bass, flute, keyboards, and to round out the selections. So that's who we're thinking of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks.
Excellent selection.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
a lot of
Thank you,
fun.
Blair.
We're gonna
Blair
have
is the
High
most,
energy.
he's
Yes.
the most
It's gonna be very
connected
fun.
music person in the LA area. I think he knows everybody and knows what they sound like, and we really appreciate the work you do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of fun.
It's a
So we'll see
compliment.
you at the concert.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
Arts and Cultural Events. At the January 16th, 2020 regular meeting, Commissioner Oshagan shared information about Architects of Air as a potential artist to consider for artist opportunities in Glendale. Did you want to share more about Architects of Air, or Chair Zadorian?
You can go ahead and do it. You know more about it.
Well, I think the suggestion was for the staff to research into how much, when, how, where, why. I think that was the motion that was passed last time. I think, or maybe it was the motion, but that's what
It was the motion.
it was a motion, right?
It was a discussion item to be agendized for just, that was my understanding.
Okay.
We can come
Yeah,
back now
okay,
for
well,
the next
I know.
next time.
My impression was that the staff was going to look into it to see how much it would be, or if they could come, when they could come, where they would be, would it fit, and our office. I mean, just some basic information about, the project, the installations that they do. So I guess we'll have to come back to that.
Okay.
Because I don't have any more information on them.
Okay.
I do agree with Commissioner Oshogai. I thought that we had discussed this in our private meeting when the chair gets together with staff. But we can put it off a month. No rush. Next month,
bring it
please.
to the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Apologies for the miscommunication.
No.
B, staff has received 3 proposals for the Glendale Art Walk RFP and are in the process of reviewing each proposal thoroughly. Staff met with the chair in regards to next steps in the process.
So how many, sorry?
3.
3? Are they competitive? Are they good?
They're very competitive. They're a wide range of proposals, so we're looking at them very thoroughly.
We hope they're competitive because they're probably watching right now.
I mean, could you give us a little bit more information, just
Well,
the
we'll-
kind of people?
So
who have
it
applied and
runs
what
the
they-
gamut from companies that do this professionally to nonprofits. So, we're just looking at it. We really want to take a deep dive. There were some things we had questions on, so we'll be following up with them. It just is going to take a little more time than we had thought. So we're hopeful at the next meeting should be able to bring back something to you. At the very least, an update, but hopefully more than that.
And what's the timeline on this?
So we're well within, like, even the proposed timelines. Most didn't, the one I recall, didn't start working on it till June. So we're looking at an October timeframe. So this has no impact on when we could deliver it.
I have a question. Without revealing the names, were any of the applicants organizations who have actually done art walks of the scope we're talking about or larger?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Okay. Any other questions?
Can't wait to see them.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Can't wait. to do
Wait,
the
so
art
what's the
walk.
process on when we get more information on the applications? Or are you just going to
Announce.
announce? How does this work?
Status update on the RFP, when they would have the status update. March? On the RFP for the art walk.
Art walk? Oh.
On the application, who's chosen?
Well, as I said, I thought I had just said, I'm sorry if I didn't communicate it clearly. We're hopeful to bring it back in March, but we're still taking a deep dive into it. So we'll get it back to you as quickly as possible, hopeful in March, but we don't have anything today. Hopeful in March, and I don't see any reason why not, but I just want to make sure we're very thorough when we come back to you.
Is this something that any of us will see before anybody is chosen? Or will
Well, we'll definitely update you on it.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? No? Okay, we can move to the next item.
Item 7, Commission staff comments.
I would like to start by saying congratulations to the library on your award today as Organization of the Year.
Whoa.
He has his award right there from the Glendale Latino Association. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. Staff worked very hard. And thank you for the commission's support. And a lot of that had to do with Dia de los Muertos, which you all were interested in and sponsored. So we appreciate you doing that. But library also did a great deal around it as well. Staff got really engaged in it, and I think that's what put it over the top.
It's a great event.
Thank you.
I have a comment.
Yes.
I was thinking about what's coming this week at the Adams Square Mini Park and the We Can, which is a collaboration between Los Feliz art-centric school and an artist. And, I think that our school systems don't, they need more awareness, and it might be nice for us to reach out to them by going to the school board meeting and having somebody just do an oral communication saying, you know, there are things going on, there are calls that are happening, maybe even invite the school board to see this exhibit that's coming up. We know Shant, obviously, but there are other school board members, and so that they get the idea in their head that they could apply to things and even get a stipend, which would help them. We have had John Muir School in the gas station, but they did that on their own, and you know, certainly what they did was worthy of a call. So maybe we could like split up the world or something and go to these different meetings, like, you know, the College Board of Trustees, the GUSD School Board, and the other commissions, you know, and just say what we're doing, and, you know, please, like, check the website or get on the mailing list or whatever. So that was just an idea.
I agree wholeheartedly.
And then the only other comment I had was that we maybe summarize all those big sheets of paper we had on January 9th, and if you still have them, and kind of just publicly air what we discussed with people when we had the January 9th meeting. You know, we don't have to solve problems, just maybe just reiterate what people's interests were and what they said in these different groups.
So I would defer to City Attorney's Office in regards to the minutes for the January 9th meeting. So we approved the minutes.
Yes,
would this be a
true.
supplementary version of the minutes?
It would be an expansion of, because we were on hiatus, that was not, when we broke up to break out into 4 separate groups, that was considered the meeting adjourned, so it wasn't really the meeting.
So I
was my
think,
understanding.
if I might, perhaps at the next meeting or at a future meeting, not too distant in the future, that we actually do a presentation kind of recapping that just via PowerPoint and the different groups. And then maybe as Jennifer presents, you know, remember she wasn't in each group.
Right.
So as she presents, you all that were representing those groups can chime in and add to it.
Right, yeah. I remember Mike Grant said, when we broke out, we were on recess, so legally. So.
Maybe we can also include, since you're discussing a public forum, the website can have those notes of what we're, at least after that meeting where we present it and talk about the ones we are going to move forward with, have that on the website as well, just so people can access it easier.
Good idea.
Any other comments from the commissioners? No? Yes?
There's a new, sorry, is there any communications coming up?
No, it's after this. This is just staff and commission.
Right.
Okay, we can move forward to the next item.
Item 8, written communications.
Am I the one?
You have 2, they're there.
Okay, and I'm the one that's going to announce. Okay, so let's start with the first one, which is we have a written communication from the group is the Greater Downtown Glendale Association invites us to a panel discussion and movie screening in honor of International Women's Day. This will be the 2nd annual International Women's Day, and this will be Friday, March 6th, 2020, from 1:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. at the Studio Movie Grill at 128 Artsakh Avenue. And you can find tickets available at womensdayglendale.eventbrite.com. Early bird tickets are $20, and all proceeds from the event benefit Essentia. So that is a great event. They also want to give a special thanks to program host Mom in Film and Armenian Film Festival and event host Studio Movie Grill. For more information, you can contact Ani Pogosian at APOGOSSIAN at GlendaleCalifornia.gov. Okay, and the second written communication is from Gray James on behalf of Glendale Out, and I'm very happy to announce that on Saturday, May 30th, 2020, Glendale will have its first festival-style Pride event in Central Park, adjacent to the Glendale Central Library. It will feature at least 20 booths, a stage, and sound system. It is an open, free, all-invited, family-friendly event, and it will be from 3 to 9 p.m. It is the first part of the day will focus on youth programming with things like Gender Nation, Drag Queen Story Hour, and performance art. Sunset kicks in the DJ-hosted dance party. They are also working on a visual art installation with One Archives. Glendale Pride is a grassroots effort with a broad organizing committee including Equality Armenia, GALAS, which is Gay and Lesbian Armenian Society, I believe, Glendale Out, the Blunt Post, GUSD, Gay Straight Alliance chapters and their advisors, and other community allies. Additionally, we will have marketing sponsorship by Reverie TV. Please visit glendalepride.org for continuing event information and the link to our GoFundMe, where we are currently raising funds and seeking sponsorships. They look forward to seeing everyone on May 30th to celebrate this momentous community event, and I hope anybody who is here or watching will also be present. I know I will be there to support as an ally. I think it's an amazing event. It's about time we had some sort of event to honor and just enjoy our gay and lesbian, trans, by just LGBTQIA and plus community in Glendale and anywhere nearby. So I hope everybody will be able to attend. And thank you, Gray, for setting that written communication.
If I could add one thing, or no?
Why not?
No, just adding to this idea that, no, I think this is a very important event because it continues what happened last year. Two major exhibits have happened in Glendale the very first time ever. We had an LGBTQ exhibition at Aubrey Bookstore, and then we had one at the library supported by the city, and this is the next step. And I really think, and ACE, of course, has done exhibitions also, so I think this is a really important step, that continuing opening up of Glendale and accepting of all kinds of LGBTQ community in our midst. So,
And I would like to add to that, and maybe considering how, kind of what a milestone this is for Glendale, and how, important and game-changing this is to have a festival like this in Glendale, that it would be, I think, send a very good signal to everybody if the commission's name were on the sponsorship list.
So if I may, City is actually doing a great deal for this event, donating a lot of things. So City's already fully in on this. I'm just saying the city is already doing a great deal, so.
Oh, okay. What are they doing? I'm just curious.
Loaning equipment, looking use of the park, so there's a lot of things the city is already doing for this. So.
But I do agree that this will end up becoming, it is going to be an annual event, I assume, that we can kind of incorporate into our arts and cultural events, and maybe and we should sponsor such an event because it does have the art installation.
So one, it's a written communication, so I think we would have to agendize this for a future meeting. But what I would share is it is great, some of the sponsorship we've done, but I would point out the two sponsorships we did last year. We actually did calls for artists. We had artists engage with those events. We paid the artists ourselves, and then we're in return for doing that and bringing art to the event. We received a sponsorship. So that's how we did those events. So,
So let's agendize to have this become a discussion item for the next meeting so we can discuss and see what kind of support. It might be a little late because this is in May, but if maybe we discuss next time, or maybe we can make it an action item. Can we make it an action item?
If I could suggest, we should ask Gray James to come in with a proposal of how we can support the festival.
Okay.
That
So
could be
can
one
we
way.
agendize
Instead
it
of
as
us figuring out what they can come to us,
Well,
kind
it
of
would
like
have
the
to be-
Glendale Latino Association did, we would like to have an installation. We could come to us.
It would have to be
Yeah.
arts related, so
Yes.
maybe he can bring, suggestions of different artists.
Or he could.
Well, he has the visual art installation. Maybe that's something that we would be sponsoring. So I'm just wondering if we're agendizing it as an action item or a discussion item for the next meeting.
why don't we talk about that in between when we approve the agenda?
Perfect. Okay. That is fine with me. Okay. Next item, please.
Item 9, adjournment.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.